Have you ever found yourself writing tons and tons of stuff on your to-do list, but then you never actually have time to get it done? Yeah, I've been there. But I recently discovered the life-changing magic of time blocking, and as a result, I've been able to burn through items on my to-do list and get the actual stuff that I need to get done. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do it too. Hi, it's Kelly, and if you're new to my channel, I encourage you to stick around and join the community by clicking the red subscribe button down below to see more videos in the future just like this one. So let's start with what time blocking actually is. Time blocking, otherwise known as calendar blocking, time boxing, monotasking, or time chunking, is basically the act of blocking out sections of time in your diary to get a specific task done. And this method of time management is something that Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, is famously known for doing. So why exactly does he do it? So time blocking is great for so many reasons. Firstly, it forces you to actually make time for a specific activity. Having this specific time set aside can really help you actually do it rather than saying you're going to do it and putting it off and not actually getting to it. Secondly, it really helps you break larger projects down into small and more manageable chunks, and that actually helps you get them done because it doesn't seem so overwhelming. And number three, it allows you to protect your time. Now this is really important if you work within a company or an organization and you use shared calendars. So a lot of the time things can go into your diary and calendar without you actually really having that much control over it. Whereas if you've got some time blocked out instead of having a blank calendar, people are more likely to actually respect that you've got that time set aside for a specific task or activity. It's not impossible that they'll still put something in your diary, but this can help. And in this video, I will show you some tips and tricks on how you can protect this time when you work within a company or organization. So when it comes to actually time blocking yourself, there's a couple of ways you can do it. Number one is just the classic on paper method. So if you're someone who still likes to write down your plan for the day, your schedule, you can do this on a piece of paper. The only downside of doing this is that you don't really have as much flexibility. So should you need to move that time for whatever reason, you obviously can't do that on paper so much unless, I guess, you're using pencil and you erase it, but it's a lot less flexible than using a virtual calendar. And then number two, of course, is a virtual calendar. And if you work within a company or organization, you might already use some form of shared calendar. They might already have one for you to use. If not, Google Calendar is a great option, and most importantly, it's free as long as you have a Google account. Really great for time blocking, and I'm going to show you how to use it in just a little bit. But there are plenty of other calendar apps, so just do a bit of digging, find one that works for you. You've got things like Microsoft Teams, Apple Calendar, and so many others, so have a bit of a look around and find one that works for you. Whichever option you choose, the first thing you want to do is to write down a list of all the tasks and activities that you need or want to get done. And if you already have a to-do list, make sure that any large projects you have split down into small, more manageable chunks, and these chunks should be activities which take somewhere between about 60 and 90 minutes. And so the next thing I like to do is to make a note of how long I actually think each of the activities will take. So as a general rule, you don't want to underestimate the amount of time that you need, but at the same time, you don't want to spend too much time doing an activity. I typically recommend about 90 minutes as the maximum amount of working time that you want to block out. And the reason behind this is just that after 90 minutes, you're a lot less likely to be able to actually concentrate on what you're doing. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I personally just find that after that amount of time, I'm dying for a coffee or a snack. And as modern day human beings, what we tend to do is we tend to take up all of the time that we have for an activity doing that thing, if that makes sense. What I mean by this is if you have an hour slot and you know you've got an hour slot, you're likely to take the whole hour to do whatever it is that you need to do. And an example of this would be 9 to 5 working. So oftentimes we don't necessarily need 8 hours in the day to get everything done, but you can pretty much always fill that time with different tasks and activities. So if you know you've got a set period of time, you can basically fill it with whatever you need to fill it with. And hey, if you're finding this video helpful so far, please do give it a thumbs up down below. So once you figured out how long you're going to block out for your activity, you then want to look at your schedule for the day and figure out where that fits into the day. Now I recommend, if you're just starting out with time blocking, to do maybe 1 or 2 a week, 2 or 3 a week, whatever works for you, but I don't recommend overcommitting yourself by putting 3 blocks of working time in your day and trying to commit yourself to doing those. It does take a little bit of time to get used to how to actually do this, but once you work up to it, you can really use this to control your day. I now put in 2 half-an-hour slots in the day to actually check and respond to emails, and that has changed my life. life. So you can really work up to more and more complexity as you get used to doing this process. And if you want to hear about any of these productivity tips, like putting in email slots in your day, that kind of thing, let me know in the comments down below, because I can definitely talk about those in other videos. So if you're writing on paper, it is just as simple as allocating a slot and writing it in. But if you're doing it in a virtual calendar, and in this case we're going to use Google Calendar, you're basically just going to click the plus icon and you're just going to add an event in, which is going to be your working time. You're going to write in the name of the task and then you're going to allot time for that. So this can be pretty easy if you work for yourself, you're self-employed, or you work somewhere where you don't tend to have very many meetings yourself. However, if you work within a company or shared organization, it can be really, really difficult. If you have shared calendars, everyone can see your calendar and everyone can see what you're doing and add meetings to your diary. It can be really hard to actually get the time to get stuff done in the day. Well, that's what I find anyway. So I have a couple of top tips to help you here. The first one is how you actually title this event in your diary. So the way that I actually recommend titling this is to start off by writing working time, so that it's clear that this is time that you're going to set aside to work for yourself. Then you're going to write the task or activity that you need to get done. Obviously, you're not going to write here something like watch Netflix or anything like that, because I don't think that would win you very many favors with your colleagues. But basically, you're going to write here, let's say it's something like check emails. Let's say it's something like finish off a big report, something like that. You're going to write that here. Then the next thing I recommend writing is please message before booking over. Now, in my opinion, what I have found is that people are way less likely to book over it if you write this after, because they can see when they look at your diary that actually you've set that time aside specifically for something and you're serious about that, and that's why you've written that you want them to message before they just book straight over the top of it. It brings the importance onto that working time, so people actually understand that no, that is protected time, that is time that you need to spend doing an activity. And now for my favorite part, color coding. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love using colors, whether it be on paper or whether it be on a calendar. And this really just helps me keep organized. And one of my top tips is to color code similar activities together. So say you've got time set out for one project specifically, all the slots that you book out for that project, make them the same color. Just means that whenever you look at your calendar, it's so much easier to identify what that slot is for. And one thing I love to do is to block out my lunch, because honestly, sometimes there are so many back-to-back meetings that you literally don't get a chance for your lunch. If you block out that slot for lunch, I mean, people will still book over the top of it, but at least you've got that time set aside for yourself to eat. So this was a really basic introduction into time blocking. If you guys want any more information on this, a second part to this, or any further information, let me know down below. And if you have any other questions, pop them in the comments. Make sure you subscribe before you leave and check out some of my other videos, and I will see you all in the next one.